plant friends, today we're going to discuss variegation in plants. While I'm discussing variegation in plants, I am going to be repotting my variegated jasmine that I recently found in my variegated top. So let me first show you this plant before we go any further. Okay, so I found this at a very local nursery that, I mean, is not very, doesn't really usually have very special things. And this is absolutely beautiful. I saw a large specimen there and I said, oh, hi, can I have a cutting? And they were like, well, actually we sell these guys on the floor. And you can see there's even some little pink spots there. The leaves are just stunning. I will take some photos for you and post them up on Instagram. Okay, cool. So, variegation, okay. Most people love it. Some people avoid it. It is complete biology that's behind it. You get two kinds of variation. The kind of variegation that is pigment driven, and then the kind of variegation that is structural. This guy is, his variegation is pigment driven. And what that means is that your green leaves, and I mean, we all learned this in high school or junior school, have chlorophyll in them. And that's responsible for the absorption of light, and it makes the leaves green. So the white leaves, or the pieces in the white leaves, are literally just a lack of chlorophyll. And that means that they are white. So one can kind of, and this has kind of been substantiated, is that plants with very little chlorophyll in them don't absorb as much light, and therefore it can be deadly to a plant if it is too white. So all very fair and well if you're looking for a Monstera elbow, variegated Monstera, because we all know how fashionable they are. But often what happens if you have just a single white leaf, it can die off. If your plant is just white, it could suffer lots of health issues. So that's why you do need green and white. So that is, and I mean, there are so many examples of this, like the nerve plant is also variegation that is based upon the pigments in the leaves. The second form of variegation is a little bit more complex. It is structural variegation. And an example of these, a very good example, is begonias. And structural variegation also has to do with chlorophyll, but it's not about the lack of chlorophyll. Just bear with me one moment while I pop this in here. Structural variegation is not about the lack of, or the pigments have got nothing to do with it, but it does have to do with chlorophyll. Where chlorophyll comes in is the cells that produce chlorophyll are actually between the cells that produce chlorophyll and the epidermis, or the outer layer of the leaf or stem. There are layers of air, or air gaps, and this causes light reflection or refraction. And what that does is it kind of gives almost a silvery sheen to the leaves in certain areas. So you'll see, and these can be recreated over and over again in patterns. So that is the simple and very basic explanation of variegation. I will try and do a video that looks at it a bit more substantially. But yeah, that's all you need to know. Don't go looking for pure white leaves all the time. Make sure there's a little bit of green there so that your leaves can get that light in, and have fun. have fun with variegation. There are so many options. There are so many forms. There is mottled forms and linear forms, and for example, Alocasia amazonica, the veins, the white veins that go through it, are also variegated. I mean, I didn't know that until doing some research, and that's just amazing to me. Okay guys, this is potted up. I've given you enough of this little discussion on that, and how pretty does that look. Until next time, bye!